Most people believe high blood pressure comes from one thing: salt. But cardiologists are discovering that for many adults, especially after 50, the real cause often has nothing to do with salt at all. You might be carefully watching your diet, avoiding salty foods, and still seeing your numbers climb. That's because a hidden process inside the body can quietly push blood pressure higher over time, and millions of people never realize it's happening. In today's video, we'll explain what doctors now understand about this overlooked cause of high blood pressure, the warning signs many people miss, and what you can do to support healthier blood pressure naturally.
Have you ever wondered why so many people develop high blood pressure as they get older? For decades, most people were told that the main culprit was salt, but the truth is far more complex. In many cases, the real reason has less to do with the salt shaker and more to do with the natural changes happening inside your body over time. One of the biggest changes occurs in your blood vessels. When you're young, your arteries are flexible and elastic. They expand easily every time your heart pumps blood through them. This flexibility helps blood flow smoothly and keeps pressure stable. But as the years pass, those blood vessels gradually become stiffer. Instead of stretching easily, they resist the flow of blood. As a result, the heart has to push harder to move blood through the body, and that increased force shows up as higher blood pressure. Your heart also adapts to this resistance. Imagine trying to pump water through a narrow hose instead of a wide one. You would have to push harder. The same thing happens in your body. Over time, the heart works harder to maintain circulation. While the body is remarkably good at adapting, this extra workload slowly raises the pressure inside your arteries. Hormones also play an important role in how blood pressure is controlled. Throughout life, your body carefully balances hormones that regulate blood vessel tension, fluid levels, and circulation. But as you age, this hormonal balance begins to shift. Some hormones that once helped relax blood vessels may decrease, while others that increase pressure may become more dominant. These subtle changes can gradually influence how your cardiovascular system manages blood flow. Your kidneys are another key player in this process. These small but powerful organs constantly regulate how much fluid and sodium stays in your body. When kidney function changes with age, even slightly, it can affect how efficiently the body manages fluid balance. If the body holds on to more fluid than it should, the volume of blood in circulation increases, and with it, blood pressure. And then there is something many people overlook: lifestyle patterns that build up over decades. Years of stress, sleep habits, diet choices, physical activity levels, and even environmental exposures slowly shape how your cardiovascular system functions. These accumulated factors don't cause sudden changes overnight, but over time they can gradually influence how your body regulates blood pressure. The key message here is simple but powerful. As we age, the cardiovascular system naturally changes. Blood vessels stiffen, hormones shift, kidneys adjust their function, and lifelong habits begin to show their effects. Together, these factors alter the way the body regulates pressure, often long before salt becomes the main issue. Understanding this bigger picture is the first step towards managing blood pressure in a smarter, more informed way. When people think about high blood pressure, they usually picture one thing: salt. But many doctors and researchers now recognize that something far more powerful often sits behind rising blood pressure, and most people never notice it happening. One of the biggest hidden influences is chronic stress on the nervous system. Your body has a built-in survival response designed to protect you in dangerous situations. When stress appears, your brain signals the heart to beat faster and your blood vessels to tighten so your body can react quickly. This response is incredibly useful in short bursts, but in the modern world, many people live with constant background stress, work pressure, financial worries, digital overload, and lack of downtime. When the nervous system stays in this alert mode for too long, blood pressure can remain elevated far beyond what the body was designed for. Sleep also plays a surprisingly important role.
During deep, restful sleep, the body repairs tissues, balances hormones, and allows blood pressure to naturally drop. But when sleep quality is poor, whether from late-night screen time, irregular schedules, or sleep disorders, the body loses this nightly recovery period. Over time, the nervous system stays more activated and blood pressure can slowly begin to creep upward. Another overlooked factor is physical inactivity. The human body was built to move. Regular movement helps blood vessels stay flexible and encourages healthy circulation. But when long hours are spent sitting at desks, in cars, or in front of screens, blood flow becomes less efficient. The heart has to work harder to move blood throughout the body, and gradually, pressure inside the arteries can rise. Then there's the issue of blood vessel stiffness, which can develop not only with age, but also with lifestyle habits. When arteries lose their elasticity, they cannot absorb the force of each heartbeat as effectively. Instead of expanding smoothly, they resist the pressure of blood flow. This resistance pushes blood pressure higher, even in people who are careful about their diet. Finally, an important metabolic factor often goes unnoticed: insulin resistance. When the body becomes less responsive to insulin, it can trigger a cascade of effects that influence blood pressure. Insulin resistance is linked to inflammation, fluid retention, and changes in blood vessel function, all of which can quietly raise pressure within the arteries. The important takeaway is this: high blood pressure rarely develops from a single cause. It often grows slowly from a combination of stress, sleep problems, inactivity, metabolic changes, and blood vessel health. So even when someone reduces their salt intake, these hidden factors can continue pushing pressure upward behind the scenes. Understanding them is key to addressing the real root of the problem. To understand one of the most important reasons blood pressure rises, we need to take a closer look at something most people never think about: the flexibility of their blood vessels. Your arteries are not rigid pipes. In a healthy body, they behave more like elastic tubes. With every heartbeat, the heart pushes blood into the arteries, and those arteries gently expand to absorb the surge of pressure. Then, as the heart relaxes between beats, the arteries contract again, helping move blood smoothly through the body. This constant rhythm of expansion and contraction keeps circulation efficient and pressure balanced. But this system depends on one crucial feature: flexibility. When arteries are healthy and elastic, they cushion the force of every heartbeat. Think of it like a shock absorber in a car. It smooths out the bumps and keeps the ride stable. In the same way, flexible arteries help prevent sudden spikes in pressure as blood moves through the cardiovascular system. However, over time, arteries can begin to lose this elasticity. Factors like aging, chronic stress, poor diet, lack of physical activity, and metabolic changes can gradually make blood vessels stiffer. Instead of stretching easily, they become more rigid. When this happens, several things start to change inside the body. First, blood pressure begins to rise. Because stiff arteries can't expand as easily, the force of each heartbeat pushes directly against the vessel walls. This increases the pressure inside the arteries. Second, circulation becomes less efficient. Without that natural expansion and contraction, blood doesn't move as smoothly through the vascular system. The body has to work harder to maintain the same level of blood flow. And that leads to the third effect: the heart must work harder. If the arteries resist the flow of blood, the heart has to generate more force to keep circulation going. Over time, this extra workload can place additional strain on the cardiovascular system. This is why many experts consider the loss of arterial flexibility to be one of the most important drivers of high blood pressure. It's not just about what you eat, it's about how well your blood vessels can adapt to the natural rhythm of your heartbeat. When arteries stay flexible, the cardiovascular system works in harmony. But when that flexibility is lost, pressure begins to build. Understanding this hidden change inside the body helps explain why high blood pressure often develops gradually and why focusing on overall vascular health may be just as important as watching your salt intake.
Most people think of blood pressure as something controlled only by the heart and blood vessels. But behind the scenes, another powerful system is constantly regulating it, the nervous system. Every second of the day, your brain is monitoring and adjusting your blood pressure. It sends signals through the autonomic nervous system to control how fast your heart beats, how wide your blood vessels open, and how much force is used to circulate blood through the body. This process normally happens automatically, without you ever noticing. Under healthy conditions, this system maintains a careful balance. When your body relaxes, blood vessels widen and your heart rate slows, allowing blood pressure to drop. When you need more energy, during exercise, excitement, or a sudden challenge, the nervous system temporarily raises your heart rate and tightens blood vessels so your body can respond quickly. But problems begin when the body spends too much time in stress mode. When the brain perceives stress, whether from deadlines, financial pressure, lack of sleep, or emotional strain, it activates the body's fight or flight response. This reaction prepares you to handle danger. The heart begins to beat faster, pushing blood more quickly through the body. At the same time, blood vessels tighten, directing blood toward muscles and vital organs. In short bursts, this response is completely normal and even helpful. The body is designed to handle these temporary spikes. However, in modern life, many people experience continuous low-level stress that never fully switches off. Instead of activating for a few minutes and then calming down, the nervous system can remain partially activated for hours or even years. When this happens, the signals that raise blood pressure keep repeating. The heart rate stays slightly elevated, blood vessels remain more constricted than they should be, and the pressure inside the arteries stays higher than the body's natural resting level. Over time, this constant stress signaling can gradually reset the body's baseline, making higher blood pressure feel normal to the system, even when it shouldn't be. This is why the nervous system is such an important part of the blood pressure story. High blood pressure isn't always just a mechanical problem with the heart or arteries. Sometimes it's the result of the body being stuck in a long-term stress response. Understanding this connection reveals something powerful. Improving stress management, relaxation, and nervous system balance may play a major role in supporting healthy blood pressure in ways people never expect. Every night while you sleep, your body performs one of its most important maintenance routines. Deep sleep isn't just about feeling rested the next day. It's also a critical time when the cardiovascular system resets and recovers. During healthy, deep sleep, several important changes naturally occur inside the body. Your heart rate slows down, allowing the heart to rest after a full day of work. At the same time, blood vessels relax and widen, which helps improve circulation and reduce the pressure within the arteries. As a result, blood pressure normally drops during the night, giving the cardiovascular system a much-needed break. Scientists sometimes call this process nocturnal dipping. It's a natural rhythm where blood pressure falls during sleep and rises again when you wake up. This nightly dip plays an important role in protecting the heart and blood vessels over the long term. But when sleep quality is poor, this reset mechanism can be disrupted. If the body never reaches deep restorative sleep, or if sleep is frequently interrupted, the heart and blood vessels may not receive the relaxation period they need. Instead of dropping overnight, blood pressure can remain elevated for longer periods. Over time, this can place extra strain on the cardiovascular system. Several common habits and conditions can interfere with this nightly reset. One of the most significant is sleep apnea, a condition in which breathing repeatedly pauses during sleep. Each pause briefly wakes the body and activates the stress response, causing sudden spikes in heart rate and blood pressure throughout the night. Many people don't even realize it's happening. Another modern factor is late-night screen exposure. Bright light from phones, tablets, and computers can confuse the body's internal clock by suppressing the hormone that signals it's time to sleep.
When sleep timing shifts or becomes lighter and more fragmented, the body may miss the deeper stages of rest that support cardiovascular recovery. Irregular sleep schedules can also play a role. When bedtime and wake-up times constantly change, the body's internal rhythm becomes disrupted. This makes it harder to reach consistent deep sleep, which can affect how effectively the body regulates blood pressure overnight. The important point is this: sleep is not simply passive rest. It's an active process that helps regulate heart function, blood vessel health, and blood pressure balance. When sleep is consistently deep and regular, the body gets a chance to reset every night. But when sleep becomes fragmented or insufficient, that reset mechanism may never fully happen, allowing blood pressure to gradually rise over time. When most people think about blood pressure, they imagine a problem related only to the heart or the arteries. But in reality, metabolic health plays a powerful role in how the entire circulatory system functions. One of the most important and often overlooked factors connecting metabolism and blood pressure is something called insulin resistance. To understand this connection, we first need to look at the role of insulin in the body. Insulin is a hormone that helps move glucose, or sugar, from the bloodstream into the body's cells, where it can be used for energy. Under healthy conditions, this process works smoothly. The body releases insulin, cells respond to it, and blood sugar stays balanced. But over time, especially with certain lifestyle patterns, the body's cells can become less sensitive to insulin's signal. When this happens, the pancreas must produce more and more insulin just to keep blood sugar under control. This condition is known as insulin resistance, and it affects far more than just blood sugar levels. One of the most important and often overlooked factors connecting metabolism and blood pressure is the vascular system, the network of blood vessels that carries blood throughout the body. Healthy blood vessels are designed to respond to signals that tell them when to relax and when to tighten. Insulin actually plays a role in this process. In a healthy metabolic state, insulin helps stimulate the production of substances that allow blood vessels to relax and widen, supporting smooth circulation. But when insulin resistance develops, this signal becomes weaker. Blood vessels become less responsive to the signals that normally help them relax, and they may remain slightly more constricted than they should be. Even a small increase in vessel tension can gradually push blood pressure higher over time. Another important effect involves inflammation. Insulin resistance is often associated with low-grade chronic inflammation in the body. This type of inflammation can affect the lining of blood vessels, known as the endothelium. When this delicate lining becomes irritated or damaged, it loses some of its ability to regulate blood flow efficiently. The vessels may become stiffer and less able to adapt to changes in circulation, which again contributes to rising pressure within the arteries. There is also a connection between insulin resistance and how the body manages fluid and sodium balance. Higher insulin levels can signal the kidneys to retain more sodium than usual. When sodium retention increases, the body tends to hold on to more water as well. This raises the volume of fluid circulating in the bloodstream. And when there is more fluid moving through the same network of blood vessels, pressure inside those vessels can increase. This combination, reduced blood vessel responsiveness, increased inflammation, and greater sodium and fluid retention, creates a set of conditions that can slowly push blood pressure upward. What makes this connection especially important is that insulin resistance often develops silently over many years. Many people may not realize their metabolic health is changing until other symptoms appear, such as fatigue, weight gain around the abdomen, or changes in blood sugar levels. But long before those symptoms become obvious, insulin resistance may already be influencing the cardiovascular system. This is why many modern researchers view high blood pressure not just as a cardiovascular issue, but also as a metabolic one. The health of the body's metabolism, how it processes energy, regulates hormones, and manages nutrients, has a direct impact on how well blood vessels function. In other words, blood pressure isn't only about the heart pushing blood through the arteries, it's also about how well the body's metabolic systems support healthy circulation. Understanding this deeper connection helps explain why some people develop high blood pressure even when their salt intake is moderate. When metabolic health becomes imbalanced, the effects ripple outward, reaching the blood vessels, the kidneys, and the nervous system. And over time, those small internal changes can add up to a noticeable rise in blood pressure.
When people think about organs that control blood pressure, the heart usually gets all the attention. But behind the scenes, another pair of organs quietly plays one of the most powerful roles in regulating pressure throughout the body: the kidneys. These two small organs, located in the lower back, act as the body's natural filtration system. Every day, the kidneys filter enormous amounts of blood, removing waste products while carefully balancing fluids, minerals, and hormones. In the process, they help maintain one of the most important conditions for healthy circulation: stable blood pressure. One of the kidney's primary responsibilities is controlling fluid balance in the body. Your bloodstream is made up largely of fluid, and the amount of fluid circulating in the body directly influences blood pressure. When there is more fluid in the bloodstream, the pressure inside blood vessels increases. When fluid levels decrease, the pressure drops. The kidneys constantly monitor this balance. If the body has too much fluid, they remove the excess through urine. If the body needs to conserve fluid, such as during dehydration, the kidneys hold on to more water to maintain circulation. This careful adjustment helps keep blood pressure within a healthy range. Another major function of the kidneys is managing sodium levels. Sodium is an essential mineral that helps regulate fluid distribution in the body. When sodium levels rise, the body tends to retain more water. This increases the volume of fluid in the bloodstream, which can raise blood pressure. The kidneys carefully regulate how much sodium stays in the body and how much is removed. They filter sodium from the blood and either return it to circulation or release it into the urine, depending on what the body needs at that moment. But the kidneys do even more than regulate fluid and sodium. They also release hormones that directly influence blood pressure. One of the most important systems involved is a hormonal network that signals the body when to increase or decrease pressure. When the kidneys detect that blood pressure is too low, they can release signals that cause blood vessels to tighten, encourage the body to retain sodium, and increase fluid volume. All of these actions work together to raise blood pressure and maintain circulation to vital organs. Under normal circumstances, this system functions with remarkable precision. However, as the body ages, subtle changes can occur in kidney function. The kidneys may become slightly less efficient at filtering blood or regulating fluid balance. Even small shifts in how the kidneys handle sodium and water can influence the pressure inside blood vessels. Over time, this can gradually alter the body's internal balance. If the kidneys retain slightly more sodium or fluid than before, blood volume may increase. If hormone signals become more active than necessary, blood vessels may stay more constricted than they should be. These changes do not happen suddenly, but over years they can slowly push blood pressure upward. It's important to understand that this process doesn't necessarily mean the kidneys are failing. In many cases, it simply reflects the natural aging of the body's regulatory systems. The cardiovascular system, the kidneys, and the hormonal networks that connect them all work together in a delicate balance. When one part of this system shifts, even slightly, the others must adapt. This is why many experts view blood pressure as a whole body regulation process rather than a problem caused by a single factor like salt intake alone. The kidneys are constantly listening to signals from the heart, blood vessels, hormones, and nervous system. In response, they adjust fluid levels, sodium balance, and hormone release to maintain stability.
But when those signals change with age, lifestyle patterns, or metabolic health, the kidney's finely tuned balancing act can shift as well. And when that happens, blood pressure often begins to rise, quietly, gradually, and often without obvious warning.
One of the most surprising things about high blood pressure is how quiet it can be. Many people expect a serious health condition to come with obvious warning signs, but blood pressure often behaves very differently. In fact, it's sometimes called a silent condition because it can develop slowly without producing clear symptoms for years. Even when pressure inside the arteries is higher than normal, the body can continue functioning in ways that feel completely ordinary. This is why millions of people live with elevated blood pressure without realizing it. However, in some cases, the body may begin to send subtle signals that something isn't quite right. One of the more commonly reported signs is morning headaches. These headaches often appear shortly after waking up and may feel like a dull pressure around the head. While headaches can have many causes, some people with elevated blood pressure notice them more frequently in the early hours of the day. Another possible sign is persistent fatigue. When the cardiovascular system is under strain, the body may need to work harder to circulate blood efficiently. Over time, this extra effort can leave some people feeling unusually tired even after a full night of rest. Some individuals may also experience dizziness or lightheadedness. This can happen when changes in blood pressure affect how blood reaches the brain, especially during sudden movements like standing up quickly. In certain situations, people report blurred or slightly altered vision. The eyes contain a network of very small blood vessels that are sensitive to changes in pressure. When blood pressure remains elevated for long periods, these vessels can sometimes become strained, which may affect visual clarity. Another sensation that occasionally appears is an irregular or pounding heartbeat. Some people describe this as feeling their heartbeat more strongly than usual, particularly during moments of stress or physical exertion. It's important to understand, though, that these symptoms are not reliable indicators on their own. They can be caused by many different conditions and may not always be related to blood pressure. In fact, one of the most important facts about high blood pressure is that many people experience no symptoms at all. The condition can progress quietly for years without causing noticeable discomfort. This is why regular monitoring is so important. A simple blood pressure check can reveal changes long before serious complications develop. By tracking blood pressure over time, people can better understand how their cardiovascular system is functioning and take steps to support their long-term health. In other words, when it comes to blood pressure, what you don't feel can sometimes matter the most. When people first learn they have elevated blood pressure, the immediate question is often, what should I change? Many expect the answer to be a single food, a single supplement, or one specific fix. But cardiologists and health researchers consistently point to something different. The most powerful support for healthy blood pressure usually comes from a combination of daily habits working together over time. One of the most important habits is regular physical activity. Movement has a direct and positive effect on the cardiovascular system. When you engage in activities like walking, cycling, swimming, or even consistent light exercise, the heart becomes more efficient at pumping blood. At the same time, physical activity helps keep blood vessels flexible and responsive. This means they can expand and contract more easily, allowing blood to flow smoothly throughout the body. Exercise also helps improve circulation and supports the balance of important hormones that influence blood pressure. Over time, even moderate activity performed consistently can help the cardiovascular system function more efficiently. Another key factor is balanced nutrition. The foods we eat provide the building blocks the body uses to maintain healthy blood vessels, regulate fluid balance, and support metabolic health. A balanced dietary pattern rich in whole foods, such as vegetables, fruits, healthy fats, and nutrient-dense proteins, can support the systems that regulate blood pressure. These foods contain vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that help maintain the health of the arteries and the delicate lining inside blood vessels. Nutrition also affects metabolic processes linked to blood pressure, including blood sugar regulation, inflammation levels, and hormone balance.
Over time, these internal processes shape how effectively the body controls pressure within the arteries. Another important element is maintaining a healthy body weight. Carrying excess weight can place additional demands on the cardiovascular system. The heart may need to work harder to circulate blood throughout a larger body mass, and metabolic changes associated with weight gain can influence blood vessel function, insulin sensitivity, and hormone signaling. Gradually reaching and maintaining a healthy weight can reduce some of this strain and support more stable blood pressure regulation. Quality sleep is another habit that often receives less attention than it deserves. As discussed earlier, the body relies on deep sleep to reset many physiological systems, including heart rate, blood vessel tension, and hormonal balance. Consistent sleep routines, going to bed and waking at similar times each day, help maintain the body's internal clock. This rhythm supports the nightly drop in blood pressure that protects the cardiovascular system. When sleep becomes irregular or consistently shortened, that nightly recovery period can be disrupted. Over time, this may contribute to increased stress on the heart and blood vessels. Another major influence on blood pressure is stress management. Modern life often places the nervous system in a constant state of alertness. When stress hormones remain elevated for long periods, they can keep heart rate higher and blood vessels more constricted than normal. Learning ways to regularly calm the nervous system through activities like deep breathing, relaxation practices, spending time in nature, or simply creating periods of quiet during the day can help shift the body out of this prolonged stress response. This allows blood vessels to relax and helps the cardiovascular system return to a healthier baseline. What makes these habits so powerful is their combined effect. Physical activity supports blood vessel flexibility. Balanced nutrition supports metabolic health. Healthy body weight reduces cardiovascular strain. Quality sleep allows nightly recovery. Stress management helps regulate nervous system signals that influence pressure. Together, these habits reinforce one another and help create an internal environment where the cardiovascular system can function more efficiently. Perhaps most importantly, the benefits of these habits appear through consistency rather than perfection. Small, sustainable choices repeated day after day can gradually improve how the body regulates blood pressure. In the long run, supporting cardiovascular health is rarely about a single dramatic change. Instead, it's about building a set of daily routines that work with the body's natural systems, helping them maintain balance, resilience, and healthy blood pressure over time.
One of the most powerful tools for protecting your cardiovascular health is surprisingly simple: regularly monitoring your blood pressure. Because high blood pressure often develops quietly, many doctors emphasize the importance of checking it consistently rather than waiting for symptoms to appear. A single reading can provide useful information, but the real value comes from observing patterns over time. For many people, healthcare professionals recommend regular home blood pressure checks. Modern home monitors make it easy to measure blood pressure in a calm, familiar environment. This can sometimes provide a more accurate picture than occasional readings taken during a doctor's visit, where stress or anxiety may temporarily raise blood pressure. Another helpful habit is measuring blood pressure at the same time each day. Blood pressure naturally fluctuates throughout the day. It may be lower during periods of rest and higher during activity or stress. By checking it at consistent times, such as in the morning or evening, you can reduce variability and get clearer, more reliable comparisons between readings. Equally important is tracking the results over time. Writing down your readings or using a digital tracking app allows you to notice trends that might otherwise go unnoticed. Small changes from day to day are normal, but a gradual upward trend may signal that the body's pressure regulation is shifting. Identifying these patterns early can help guide lifestyle adjustments or medical evaluation if needed. Finally, it's important to discuss your readings with a healthcare professional. Doctors and trained medical professionals can interpret the results in the context of your overall health, medical history, and other risk factors. They can help determine whether the numbers fall within a healthy range or whether additional evaluation or support may be beneficial. Monitoring blood pressure isn't just about collecting numbers, it's about understanding how your cardiovascular system behaves over time.
When measurements are taken consistently and reviewed carefully, they can reveal early changes long before serious complications develop. This allows people to take informed steps to support their health and maintain better control over their cardiovascular well-being. In many ways, regular monitoring acts like an early warning system, helping detect shifts in blood pressure before they become larger problems. And that awareness is one of the most valuable tools for protecting long-term heart and vascular health. For many years, conversations about blood pressure have focused on one main idea: salt. While sodium intake can certainly play a role for some people, the reality is far more complex than a single ingredient in the diet. Blood pressure is not controlled by just one factor. It's the result of many systems working together inside the body: the heart, the blood vessels, the kidneys, the nervous system, metabolism, sleep cycles, and even long-term stress patterns. Each of these systems constantly communicates with the others to keep circulation stable and balanced. When everything is working in harmony, blood pressure naturally adjusts throughout the day. It rises when the body needs energy and falls when the body rests. But when several of these systems become strained, whether through aging, poor sleep, chronic stress, metabolic changes, or reduced physical activity, the delicate balance can begin to shift. That's why understanding the hidden influences behind blood pressure is so important. It helps move the conversation beyond a single cause and toward a more complete picture of cardiovascular health. The encouraging part is that many of these factors are connected to everyday habits. Supporting better sleep, managing stress, staying physically active, maintaining metabolic health, and monitoring blood pressure regularly can all contribute to healthier circulation over time. These changes don't have to happen overnight. In fact, the most meaningful improvements often come from small, consistent habits practiced day after day. Because in the end, protecting your blood pressure isn't about chasing quick fixes. It's about supporting the systems inside your body that work around the clock to keep your heart and circulation functioning at their best. Before you go, I'm curious. Have you ever been surprised by your blood pressure numbers? Maybe they were higher than you expected, or maybe you discovered them during a routine check. Everyone's experience is different, and hearing real stories can help others learn more about their own health. Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone else pay closer attention to their heart health. And if you found this video helpful, consider subscribing for more clear, simple explanations about heart health, blood pressure, and healthy aging. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.